Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Ash and Avery on 90 Day Fiancé. I'm your host, Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. This is the Psychology in Seattle podcast. I'm going to react to this TV show. Let's see what happens.
After the few days and how much pain there was, I wasn't expecting Avery to want to spend the night in the same hotel room with me again. So I hope it means that she found closure. But still, I don't know what was talked about. In that conversation between Avery and Sian, it is a scary thought.
So as I've been speculating, Ash, early in life, his role in his family was to be optimistic and positive and sweep things under the rug. And or there was a ton of negativity in his life growing up, and he internally decided to protect himself from that negativity. He had to sweep it under the rug in his own mind to protect himself from how horrible life was, and his penchant for being very positive. Penchant, I don't think I've ever used that word before. Did I use it correctly? Comment below. His tendency to be positive and optimistic helped him to cope internally or externally in the family. Hard to know. It's just total speculation. I have no idea. I would have to talk with him to collaboratively explore this with him. I'd be curious how he felt about it, actually. So when he exhibits this behavior, the vibe I'm getting from him in this scene is that he still very, very much wants to be with Avery. And he's sort of, where are you at? There's not a lot of, this is where I'm at. It's a lot of, where are you at? And that lends itself to that childhood trauma hypothesis. When we are traumatized, sometimes we choose to be very outward focused. How are you doing? And then when we're very hurt, we're very devastated. And then when we can get back to equilibrium, we're very much outward focused. How are you doing? Let's keep positive. What do you want? Not a lot of, what do I want? Here are my needs entering into this equation, because I learned when I was young that no one cared about my needs. So why put them out there, and why even notice them myself? I don't think it's a severe case for Ash in that way, but as I watch these scenes, I just want to reach out to him and say, like, dude, what do you want? What is it that you really want here? How do you feel? What is going on for you right now? I would be curious about that, and tell Avery, insert yourself into the situation, let it out, be spontaneous. Avery seems like she can take it, is the thing. You can trust Avery with that information, is the message I would try to get across to him. I don't know if that's true or not, but if I was a couples therapist, that would be something I'd be trying to build.
When I talked to Sian, one of my biggest concerns was I want to really understand the situation with you coming to spend time in America with Taj. I remember when I was talking to you about the situation, you're like, kind of played it down. Yeah. Like everything was fine. But when I talked to her, she was genuinely upset about the situation.
It was a challenge for me to think, okay, I will move there with Taj. But in my mind, I'm like, well, it can happen. Mm-hmm. I was trying to find the positive out of it.
Okay.
So there we have it, right out of Ash's mouth himself. He's saying, I saw a difficult situation, but I was really trying to see the positive out of it. I saw a negative potential, and I really wanted to see the positive. And then I said the positive, even though I kind of knew it wasn't true, but I was trying to convince you and maybe me of the positive. Total speculation, but that's the vibe I get from this.
But there's a difference between creating negativity and being real with reality. Those are things I don't want you to just write off. Really let me understand the situation for what it is.
This is great. I wish they would have had this conversation on the pier after the seminar. They're calm, and she's being caring. She's saying, I want this. She's not saying any accusatory statements. She's not saying anything that could be interpreted as hurtful. She's saying, I get it. I get that you wanted to be positive, but I really just need to know the reality of the situation, because that's what I want. And there's no vibe of, or else I'm going to break up with you, or I'm super angry at you, or contempt. She's making an assertive request. And this is great. Let's see how Ash responds to it.
I totally understand where you're coming from with that. She believes that I have not been upfront. And, the challenge here is that Xian was okay at the beginning. That's the truth. She was okay at the beginning.
This isn't promising. He is doing his normal response when there is negativity. His first line of defense when there's criticism or negative. I wonder if criticism is also included in his negativity sensitivity. That when she's like, I need you to be different. That it's a criticism, but it's a constructive criticism. It's a helpful criticism. It's an understandable criticism. And his first line of defense is, okay, I hear you. Great, thanks for letting me know. He said that line before and not seemingly really let it into his soul. And then he says in this interview away from Avery, well, in the beginning, I wasn't lying. In the beginning, Xian was cool with Taj moving to the United States. So it doesn't seem like Ash is really hearing. And it makes sense because defense mechanisms have elaborate ways of biasing the information coming into us to protect the mechanism. The person needs the mechanism. Think about it like if someone was an alcoholic. When they drink, they physically become dependent, but more importantly, they're emotionally dependent on that substance to cope with traumas and to cope with anxiety or whatever it is that they're coping with on an ongoing basis. To take away that alcohol means you take away all of their coping ability, and they don't have anywhere else to go to. And that's why treatment for substance abuse usually involves trauma treatment and how to emotionally regulate rather than just telling people to abstain. And Alcoholics Anonymous actually has a fair amount of that in it, not the trauma treatment. But anyway, the point is that you take away, right now, Avery is asking Ash to take away his coping skill that he really needs to cope with life. She's saying, I don't need you to be positive all the time. I want you to be honest. But deep down, he knows, I'm speculating, that to be honest means to let negativity into his life. And he knows how horrible that will be for him because of what I'm guessing to be his early childhood traumas regarding negativity or just bad things. Because he's so closed, generally, it's hard to get a sense of what's going on with him. Like with Darcy, for example, it's pretty clear because she wears her heart on her sleeve. It's very seemingly more easy to read. With Ash, it's harder to get an idea of the flavor of the traumas that he went through, or if he went through any at all, honestly. But what she's asking, so she did it in a very functional way, and then Ash gave his normal defense of just like, yeah, I get it. And, by the way, I wasn't really being that, I wasn't spinning the truth that much, because it was kind of in line with the truth. So let's see how this conversation goes. Hopefully she can get under his skin. But the thing is that in order to get under his skin, he would, if the hypothesis is right, so this is all dependent on me being randomly right on my hypothesis, then she would have to help him cope with it, with negativity. That would be the key. Just telling him, stop being so positive and optimistic about things that actually come across as lying to me. What she would have to do is get underneath that. And it's like, when you think about the negative possibility, you're like between A or B. A is tell her the truth and risk negativity, or B, spin it a little bit and get positivity. When you think about those two, when you think about A and being more honest and potentially negative, what are the worries that you have there? What are the fears that you have? Let's try to soothe that so you don't have to go to B so often.
Xian said you guys only divorced a year ago.
I did tell you we divorced a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
Okay, this one's a little bit harder for him to sweep under the rug. He sweeps under the rug, and then when he's caught sweeping under the rug, he sweeps that under the rug. This is going to be harder to sweep this sweeping under the rug because there's a discrete math there. when they met, it sounds like he said he divorced years ago, when in fact he had only divorced months before they started dating. And so she's confronting him, and she's doing it nicely. She's smiling. I wish she would say something like, "It hurts my feelings that you would do that to me, and can you tell me what's going on?" But she's not being too confrontational, which might help him to be more honest, because she doesn't come across right now like she's saying, "I hate you and I don't want to be with you." So let's see how he responds to this.
I mean, just let me know why you didn't want to tell me that it was just a year ago.
I think because of the fact that when you share this information, I guess that people can perceive it as, well, are you guys trying to work it out? And we were not trying to work out anything. We just never got around doing it.
Okay, so good. You could have said that in the very beginning. That's not an answer to her question as to why did you lie to me? So I'm guessing Avery's going to follow up with that more specific question.
Well,
I
that's what she said. So I am glad that you guys are on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Like when I heard that from her, I was like, okay, that makes sense. I would have had the exact same response in the beginning of our relationship if you just told me the truth.
Okay.
You know?
I understand.
So I don't want you to fear the outcome anymore.
Okay.
Great. She's really seeing clearly that he is lying. She's not even saying the word lie. She's just saying, tell me what's happening. Let me in. She's saying, don't do that anymore because you can trust me. You can tell me the truth and I'm not going to freak out. You could have told me that the mom wasn't into her son being moved to the United States. You could have told me that you divorced rather recently, but you weren't really trying, but you had years and years of being technically married, but not romantically married. You could have told me that. You can trust me because I care about you and I love you. What a wonderful approach. Having said that, I don't think that is going to work for him because he probably has many, many more years and experience of negativity equals threat. Lack of positivity, lack of optimism equals threat. And right away, just a little bit that we heard, he's going into that normal response of just like, oh yeah, okay, totally, I get it. Instead of what I'm looking for, I guess, is for him to say something like, you know what? I have this pattern of being really optimistic and really positive, and it really shoots myself in the foot sometimes. I like the fact that I'm very optimistic and positive because that's who I am. But sometimes it seems to hurt other people. What is that about? If he said something like that, then I'd be very encouraged. What I'm not encouraged with is he sweeps under the rug. He gets caught for sweeping under the rug. He sweeps that under the rug. She confronts that action, and then he continues to sweep that under the rug. He has this very repetitive response, this habitual response. Oh yeah, totally get it. I need to take responsibility for thank you. Instead of really taking the time to think, well, wait, what is going on here with me? Why do I do that? Let's see if he can do that.
This could be like one of the first times that I've been able to have a constructive conversation with him. And it definitely makes me love him more as a person, knowing that he is somebody that I can work with and grow with in a relationship. But I know that there's going to be a lot longer period now to have to wait before we could possibly even live together as a couple in America. There's just so many things that are just really being stacked against us.
Okay, well, they didn't show us the whole conversation unless they just spent the past minute and a half staring at each other. I'm guessing they edited that. So maybe he did say something along those lines. And she seems to be very positive about it. She's like, I told him how I felt and he agreed. And maybe that's how he processes things. There's different processors. Me personally, I'm the sort of processor that as I'm thinking about it, I process it out of my face. You might call it extroversion. There's various different ways of talking about it, but I don't always do that like that. But as a talker, I tend to think and talk at the same time, as you might see in these videos and in my audio podcast. Other people, maybe Ash is one of those people who, in the moment, they say what they got to say to get it to smooth over. and then they think about it quietly. And maybe Ash is one of those people. For both of their sake, I hope that he is one of those people, because he's not really exhibiting that self-reflection in this moment. So I guess time will tell.
And now I'm like really worried about when I leave you. Because now that we have actually been together in person, I just know I'm gonna really, really, really miss you. Like, really miss you.
So she's saying, I'm really, really gonna miss you. What that points to is this show only shows us very little information about their relationship and their exchanges and their interactions. They presumably are spending 24/7 together, but they're only showing us maybe a few minutes every day.
I came to Australia hoping to get engaged to him. But even though him and I have so much love and so much passion for each other, this is a really complicated situation. And filing the K-1 visa may not be in our future.
All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle, in which I react to Avery and Ash. Tune in next time when I continue with their story. Subscribe, hit the bell, like this video, comment below. What do you think about what I've said? I don't think I said that much in this video, but have you experienced this kind of personality before? Do you have this kind of personality? And please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.